Hello, and welcome to the East Africa Business Podcast. This show is all about showcasing entrepreneurs who are building businesses in this exciting part of the world. From reading high-level articles about the region, it can be difficult to really understand what's going on, and so my hope is that these interviews somewhat bring it to life, as well as stoking your curiosity to go find out more. On that, do take a look in the archive for more episodes that we've done, but for now, let's enjoy the rest of this funky intro music and then get started with the show. If you've been following the East Africa Business Podcast for a while, you might notice that most episodes are around the 30 to 40 minute mark. Whilst that was the intention here, in this episode, Samir and I end up chatting for well over an hour. The reason being is that, for me at least, there's just so much interesting stuff to talk about the business he's running. SunCulture exists to improve productivity among smallholder farmers, and does so through a variety of services, including solar irrigation pumps and financing, all run on a state-of-the-art software platform. We talk about how and why the company was formed, why Samir believes that, unlike the US, there will always be smallholder farmers in this part of the world, and how SunCulture's dream team operates, in part motivated by Samir's monthly emoji email. A big part of the SunCulture thesis on development is aligned with the discussion I had with Conrad Whitaker. To learn more, search for the episode on the distributed economy. We do the interview in the garden of the lovely SunCulture offices, and so there may be some background noises, including a nearby scuffle between a dog and a monkey, which I hope doesn't detract from what is a really fun and information-packed episode. We sometimes go a bit off-piste, including how Samir is hoping to one day reach out to the Ohio band that shares SunCulture's name. We sample one of their tracks at the end of the episode if you're interested to listen. Anyway, without any further ado, let's head off to SunCulture's back garden for this interview with Samir. Cool, so we're here today with Samir from SunCulture. Samir, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Cool, so we're here in the SunCulture garden. Would you call it the garden?
I call it a garden.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So we're in your office, which it's, but to say it's an office is unfair. Wouldn't I think? Like we've got a vegetable patch over there.
When we harvest, we actually cook those vegetables for lunch.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh
You're more than welcome to come by. You're missing it by a couple of weeks.
No way.
Sadly.
Okay. Anyway, and I thought, what does SunCulture do?
So we exist to help improve and protect the productivity of smallholder farmers. So our official mission is that we develop and commercialize life-changing technology that solves the biggest daily challenges for the world's 570 million smallholder farmers.
Okay.
Solve problems,
Yep.
help them increase their incomes, allow them to participate in consumer markets, and then a whole lot of macro issues can be solved.
Yep.
So lifting a lot of people out of poverty, helping Africa not spend the $110 billion it's projected to spend importing food by 2025, help people be able to make money in rural areas so you don't have mass urbanization and the challenges that come with that. But at the very core of it, it's helping farmers increase their productivity.
Very cool. Okay, what are some ways in which you do that?
So I'll give you like our little trick of how we think about this.
Okay.
And then you can also come up with all your own ways of solving this.
Oh, okay.
So we have this framework that we call the productivity ladder. So a lot of folks in energy who you've probably spoken to think about their services in terms of the energy ladder. How do you get people to use more energy services over time? We think about it in terms of how do we get our customers to become more productive over time? So how do we get them to climb up the productivity ladder? Mm-hmm. At the base of that, when you look at the sort of core problem you need to solve, you have to look at how a farmer lives. Farmers, or at least most of our customers, the smallholder farmers in East and West Africa, live on plots that are about this size as our SunCulture garden. Mm-hmm. They live in a small structure that's like the small structure on our property as well. And they make money by either selling crops, selling animals, or selling milk from their livestock. Mm-hmm. All three of these things need water. Mm-hmm. And because most people get water by physically filling up these buckets with 20 liters of water, which weighs 20 kg. So if you went to the gym this morning, it's those big weight plates at the gym. Mm-hmm. Because it's so heavy, they're only able to move enough water to barely meet their domestic needs. So they practice what's called rain-fed agriculture, which Rain is inconsistent, unreliable. They don't get enough of it.
Rain-fed agriculture is basically
You wait for the rain to fall,
and that's it.
that's it.
Yeah. Okay.
And they don't get enough water to become productive.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at figuring out how to give their crops enough water to grow, or their cows enough water to produce a sufficient amount of milk, or their chickens enough water to hatch eggs and have more chickens to sell, you need to figure out how to move water from where it is to where it needs to go. So most people know us as a solar irrigation company because we were the first company to commercialize solar irrigation in Africa. But solar irrigation isn't a silver bullet. It's just the first step on the productivity ladder.
It's the first rung.
Yeah, first rung.
Cool.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
So solar irrigation, that is using solar panels to create energy to pump water
Yep.
from a river or a
River,
lake.
well, lake, borehole,
And it
water
pumps out.
harvester,
Yeah.
dam, any water source.
When did you start that?
We started our first pilot in late 2012. We spent the first 7 months in the field, started selling stuff in 2013. Didn't raise any additional capital, or didn't start raising external capital till mid 2015,
Yeah.
when we kind of had figured out what product market fit could look like.
Okay. And what did it look like?
It looked like solar panels, pumping water, or powering a submersible water pump, pumping water to an elevated tank, and then using gravity to release water through drip irrigation.
Ah.
And we've since then sort of moved away and iterated on the product, made it more affordable, made it more modular. But that was what V1 looked like. It was called the Agro Solar Irrigation Kit. If you Google, you'll still find some like pictures and articles on the Agro Solar Irrigation Kit.
Yeah. Okay. That's all right. So yeah, just say because we're in the garden, people are beginning to go home.
Yes.
Yes. So hence there might be the sound of a car.
There might be sound of a car. There might be sound of birds, really loud birds if we get lucky.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, so it started off, and you say that was like 2015 was when you.
We started getting our first sort of bit of grants.
Yeah.
So we came with some friends and family loans, which we paid back.
Yeah.
And then we said, look, no one's doing this anywhere.
Yeah.
We need to figure out what this looks like. And I'm sort of air quoting this.
Yeah.
This. And this looked like technology bundled with value-added services and financing.
Okay.
And then we started in 2015 raising some grant capital to try it a bit more at scale. And then over the years, we continued to iterate on our product. So we went from a product that cost about $5,000 US down to $500, which took 3 days to install. Now it takes a few hours to install. That combines hardware and software now. And now we're sort of this one-stop shop for smallholder farmers, where we have a technology platform that includes hardware and software, and we bundle it with value-added related services and financing.
Okay.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of things.
A lot going on there. So how many people work at SunCulture?
We have official count as of last week was 88 non-sales employees, and we just trained our 99th sales agent.
So you've got 88 plus 99.
You want to do the math?
I just wanted to make sure that you don't have 11 people that are just in sales. All right, cool. Why do you separate them out like that? Why do you speak of them separately like that?
Dude, we just went through a huge hiring and onboarding of sales agents. So in my head, one of the metrics we're tracking is how many people we've trained for sales agents, and we just finished 99.
Yeah.
So it was just separated in my head, just
Okay.
in terms of counting numbers.
Got it. Oh, it's not like you have one
No.
office where all the people go in the office where the
No.
salespeople go.
No.
Got it.
Yeah. That's just how I viewed it
All
in
right.
my head right now.
Okay. Very cool. And how many people did you need to get to V1?
2,
Really?
need to get to V1? Yeah, it was myself and my co-founder. And that was V1, like original V1, like the OG V1.
Yeah.
Was us two existing products off the shelf. We put it together on a farmer's farm.
Yeah. How did you get in that situation where?
Yeah. So I am not a farmer.
Okay.
My family's from here.
Yeah.
So my family got here from India in 1850.
Okay.
They got on a boat and decided to check where the wind would take them, and very fortunately landed in Zanzibar, not a bad place to land, and lived there. And then in the 70s they left, and I grew up with this emotional attachment to the region and sort of a feeling of responsibility to
When you say left, and then they left.
They left in
region.
the 70s. They
Left
went
east.
to North America.
North America. Okay.
Yeah. So did what a lot of immigrants do, find someone that they know somewhere else and just go there. So they ended up in Canada,
Yeah.
where I was born. And then I grew up in Florida and went to school in New York. And yeah, grew up feeling responsible to use the opportunities that my immigrant parents never let me forget they gave me to solve big problems. And my co-founder, Charlie, had this idea to combine renewable energy and agriculture. And he looped me into it. He actually, I only got involved by pure luck.
Okay.
The universe was working in our favor, I guess. He wanted to put this idea through a business plan competition at the university I went to.
Okay.
And in order to enter the competition, you needed someone on your team who went to the undergraduate business school at NYU, where I went to school.
Yeah.
And I was the only person he knew that went to that program.
What?
So he just asked me to sign a piece of paper, letting him enter the program and pretending I'm on his team.
And you're like, hold up, this looks pretty good.
Not even that.
Not even that, no?
It was a few months later, he calls me on a Wednesday night at like 10:30 p.m. And if anyone calls you on a Wednesday night at 10:30 p.m., it's trouble, usually. So I was worried. I said, hey man, what's going on? He goes, we're in the semifinals. I'm like, of what? He's like, remember that competition that we entered? We're in the semifinals, and I'm calling you because you need to pitch with me so it looks like you're on my team. That was when I was like, wow, this is actually interesting. He had no idea of my family background.
Yeah.
He had no idea that I was really passionate about the private sector's role in economic development. No idea. It just happened that we had complementary skill sets, we had similar values, we wanted to solve big problems. Like, it just worked out super, super well. It's one of the things that I think we were the luckiest about, just figuring out a working relationship, and that works well.
What was it about the initial pitch which grabbed you?
The macro numbers, for sure.
Okay.
We saw, and Charlie saw this early on, there's this huge untapped asset class in smallholder farmers, right? It's 570 million of them globally, that because they practice this rain-fed agriculture, they don't make so much money. So between $600 and $1,000 per year. They don't have any disposable income. Their incomes are not predictable or dependable because they're reliant on the rainfall, which is unpredictable and unreliable, which means that banks don't want to finance them and insurance companies don't want to insure them. So these smallholder farmers don't have access to capital to invest in assets to help them make more money later on, which means they can't participate in consumer markets, and then all those macro problems happen, like I talked about. So we said, if we can figure out a way to create a dependable and reliable income for these farmers, we, one, can build a really meaningful business that no one's doing. We can lift an entire group of people out of poverty. We can create a new consumer market. We can then sell into that consumer market. We can then also solve all these big knock-on effects. So that's how it started.
Yeah.
No one was doing it. It made sense. We said, why not try it?
Yeah. And then from there you were like, you felt some connection to East Africa and you're like, let's just go over and try it out? Or like, when did you first?
We got second place in the competition.
Okay.
And that fueled the fire a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I was working at PwC at the time.
Yeah.
My that was my post-college job.
Yeah.
I was in their financial services, structured products, and real estate group. And Charlie had taken a year off of school to start a consumer electronics business in New York. That's a whole separate story, very funny story, which maybe we'll get to later. And I had saved, I think 17 days of vacation at PwC. So that's Monday through Friday, 5 times plus a little bit more, and add on weekends, that was 23 days.
Yeah.
So we decided to use those 23 days and come here and try a pilot post getting second place.
Okay.
Charlie had come in January of that year just to check it out. But it was really, we got second place. We thought that we deserved first place because it was such a big opportunity.
What did get first place?
A company that was making iron fortified cookies for pregnant women who were anemic.
Okay. In the US?
In India.
In India.
Yeah. So we said, this has to work. There has to be a way to make this work. So we went in and we launched a pilot, and we had a sort of set of questions that we said, if we answered yes for all of them, we'll do it. We answered yes to all of them, and we...
What were some of those questions?
Does the technology work? Does the business model make sense for a for-profit business? Does the business model make sense for smallholder farmers? So can we make money? Can they make money? Does this whole thing work? And it was yes. I called my partner at PwC and quit from here. Charlie called his dean and said, hey, I'm not coming back. Went back, packed our bags, begged everyone we could ask for loans, and then got on a one-way flight.
Boom.
Yeah.
Was the company called SunCulture at that point?
It was.
Yeah.
But we only had the website SunCultured with the D at the end because SunCulture was taken. So we had to negotiate for that.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the original SunCulture.com doing?
I don't know. There's a SunCulture band who, if you're listening to this, we'd love to meet you.
The SunCulture band?
There's a band called SunCulture in the US that has, I think, the Twitter account.
Oh, really?
And maybe the Facebook account. But we would love to meet them.
Yeah.
Like a small band that I've listened to their music, it's pretty great.
Is it?
Yeah, I should reach out to them.
What type of music is it?
Like indie rock.
Yeah.
I should reach out. Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so that's SunCulture.com. Cool. Then you land here, and then you're like, cool, right? We've got to like make this thing work.
We have to figure out what we don't know.
Okay.
And I think there were like two characteristics that really helped us at the beginning days. One was we were super naive, like just uberly naive, which I think was a really good quality at that time.
How old are you this time?
23.
23. Okay.
Turning 24 in a few months.
Yeah.
So I think the naivety inflated our confidence, which was really helpful for us to make the jump. But also we really knew we didn't know anything. We knew we could figure it out. We knew we had the resources. We knew we had the sort of base understanding to make this work, but we knew we didn't know a lot about the problems we were solving. So we said, let's spend the first 7 months in field.
Yeah.
First big mistake, putting our first pilot 4 hours away from where we live.
Yeah.
So we would take the matatu up 4 hours and back every day. Ended up getting a car, driving up and down.
What was there must have been some logic to doing that.
It was the first farmer that we had met.
Okay.
Because we met one of his relatives in the US at some point.
Yeah.
And said we need to find a farm to put a demo on.
Yeah.
It was a great way to get to know each other, Charlie and myself.
Yeah.
Great way to get to know the country.
Yeah.
But I do think if I would go back and do it again, I would put the first demo much closer, which we did for the second demo.
Yeah.
Only 45 minutes
And the
away.
reason you made that choice was just like, here's an opportunity, like we should just take it.
We just need to put something somewhere and see what happens. But we didn't know we didn't understand the day-to-day lives of smallholder farmers. So we needed to put the system in the field and see what the farmers touched, what would be potential breakpoints, what questions they had, where they needed help, where the tech may not serve them very well. We always say that the farm is our lab. So even when we roll out new products, it always starts with our customers. What are your problems? What do you need? What don't you have? How can we help you? And I think that's one of the founding principles that have allowed us to grow into what we've grown into right now.
Yeah. Okay. What was the name of your first farmer?
Our first farmer, Sirma.
Sirma.
And then the second one was Peter.
Sirma and Peter.
Yeah.
Did they know each other?
They did not.
No.
They were very far away from each other.
Sorry, they're very far.
Yeah.
All right. So, what was the deal with like when you went to Sirma? What did you say? Like
we met one of his relatives in the US.
Yeah.
Well, this one was easy. We're going to give you something for free just to see if it works. Okay. That was the first one.
Yeah.
We don't like giving things away for free.
Yeah.
We often don't. The reason we gave these first two products away for free was because it was really a product. We needed to test the product.
Yeah.
So the first two farmers was very much product R&D. Then we started selling stuff to people.
Okay.
So the sales pitch for these guys was really easy. We'll give you free stuff. Let us come to your farm whenever we want. Let us try stuff. And then you don't have to pay us. There's your birds.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Dinner time for them.
Cool. And so do you remember the first time you went to a farm and you asked them to pay you?
Yes.
What was that like?
Amazing. We got so excited.
So was it a paint the picture? So like, were you like planning up to this day, or was it like it just kind of happened? What was it?
It just kind of happened.
Okay.
We realized one day we were running out of the money we borrowed. We're like, man, we really need to start selling some stuff. We didn't know how to raise money. We didn't know what grants were. We didn't know how to raise capital at the time. We didn't know that there were organizations that were built and created to just support us in the early days. We didn't understand that.
Okay.
We understand it now.
Yeah.
But we're like, man, we really need to start selling some stuff. Otherwise, we're going to run out of money.
Yeah.
So we started marketing and started calling people and used Facebook.
We say calling people. It's in like calling up farmers.
We used Facebook to get warm leads, and then we'd call them and try to sell to them.
Wait, so the farmers are on Facebook?
Yes.
Are there like Facebook groups?
Yes, we have one of the top 100 Facebook pages in Kenya.
Do you?
Yeah. We have something like 160,000 people on our Facebook page.
What?
Our posts get 1 million views.
Really?
It's amazing. And it was born out of just our need and the cheapest way for us, our need to market, the cheapest way for us to A/B test. And it was at a time when people were starting to figure out that giving Facebook for free was a really great way to get people online and a really cheap way to get people access to information.
So you were kind of like there at the right moment, and so you could like stake your claim. You know?
Yeah.
Wow.
And Charlie has now developed a skill set in digital marketing. So we started just marketing on Facebook.
Really?
Our first sale was to an organization called the Laikipia Wildlife Foundation. It was an NGO.
Yeah.
And they bought 3 of our systems. One for this place called Rumuruti, one for Tigoni, one for Timau, all in Laikipia.
Yeah.
I remember sitting at their office, which was in Nanyuki at the airstrip, like quote unquote closing the deal. And I remember the first check that we got, it was like something happened. It was a whole mess. We really wanted the first check. We wanted to have our first sale. Car broke down on the way down to drop it off to us. We sent someone to go pick it up. And I remember having the check in my hand, and like Charlie and I were just like, yes.
So is it a physical piece of
paper? It was a physical check.
Oh my God.
For 3 systems. We went and cashed it. Not cashed it.
Yeah.
Deposited it. It was a big day for us.
That's so much more symbolic.
It was so much more symbolic.
Do you know
It was amazing. It wasn't a transfer.
Yeah.
It was a check. It was a physical check that we picked up and like we had it in our hands. It was super symbolic.
Yeah.
I think symbolism is important.
Yeah.
It's important.
Definitely.
That was a big one.
How much was it for?
A little over 10 grand.
USD?
Yeah. It was a big one. It was a great first sale.
Yeah. Because one thing I'm sort of thinking is like, if you're making money off smallholder farmers who don't have much money, like, how do you make money? Like, in terms of just the transactions, like the transaction values and stuff like that.
Build something people want. Create value in their lives, and they'll pay for it. I think it's one of the being a for-profit business. Our farmers really hold us accountable because if we don't make stuff they won't buy it. If they don't buy it, we run out of business.
Yeah.
So we always say, put the farmer in the middle, solve problems for the farmer, they'll pay for it.
Yeah.
The profile of our farmers certainly has changed from the $5,000 product to the $500 product, but we still have margins when we sell products.
Okay.
And if we can create value for a farmer is willing to pay for it. We also finance for our farmers. So we have a program called Pay As You Grow.
Yeah.
Oh, you like the name. So
we allow people. How long does it take you to come up with that?
It was really quick for that one.
Okay.
Really quick for that one. But our farmers pay us over 30 months.
Do they get the joke?
It's not a joke.
Not a joke, but you know what I mean? Like
they get it.
The fact that it's
they love it.
They sort of get.
And they love it. Pay as you grow. They love it.
It's like,
we're growing. We're going to pay over time while we grow. Sweet.
Nice.
Our main product our flagship product is called Rainmaker.
Yeah.
Also, they get it.
Yeah.
It's like it's raining.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Have you got a naming department? Like where does this stuff come from? Is this come from just like having a beer and just being like, what should we call our next thing?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We just had one of these naming conversations last week at our leadership meeting. We had to name a new pump that we're coming out with, and it was kind of going around the table and saying, what do we need? What's the purpose of a name? It's one for brand for a customer, also for what we call it internally.
Yeah. What's it called?
Can't tell you yet.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's just a larger version of a water pump for our internal uses.
Okay.
This one isn't a customer-facing one. So far, it's been just sitting around and then trying it with customers.
Yeah.
So saying, what do you think about this name? Because again, it really matters what a customer thinks.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I think. So we'll come up with a name and then we'll share it with customers and say, what do you think about this?
They might sort of gravitate towards Rainmaker and go with that. Okay.
Same with color, same with everything.
Yeah. Okay. So where do we get to on that? Make money. Okay, make money. So you're now at a $500-ish price point.
Yeah, we have 2 products. We have about $1,000 price point, $500 price point, financed over multiple years.
Okay. So what's the initial cash outlay?
$89.
$89.
Yeah.
Are any farmers excluded from that?
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
There will always be people that are excluded from what we can do alone. Governments need to exist to provide welfare for people that for-profit businesses can't necessarily do that too.
Yeah.
Now that may actually, let me take that back. That might not always be the case. I completely take that back. So right now there are people that are excluded. The only way for this and all these businesses to work at massive scale, and I'm not talking about its scale for SunCulture to do well or other companies to do well. I'm talking about its scale where you're looking at like hundreds of millions of people. Governments need to get involved in the form likely of subsidies or smart subsidies. Then these types of products can be affordable and available for everyone. But until that's in place, and then there will be people who are excluded from this.
Okay, but there's enough. I mean, like, I'm not quite sure how to answer this question or ask this question, but I'm trying to think. At $5,000, what percentage of your smallholder farmers market could you access? Like, what does that?
Much smaller market.
But is it like a linear thing? Is there other particular drop-offs where you've?
No, good question. In terms of, is it linear or not? I don't think it's linear. Right now, between a 500, so at sort of a $38 or $39 a month. So between $1 and $1.30 a month, there's a market of between 1 and 2 million farmers for us in Kenya alone.
$1 and $2 a month.
$1 and $1.30. So repayments of $1 and $1.30 a day.
Okay. Which adds up to about $30, $40 a month. About $40 a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's between, and farmers that meet the criteria of having a water source, etc. About 1 to 2 million of those in Kenya. So there are enough farmers. It's not linear. I think there's much more farmers. There's more than 10 times the amount of farmers available at this price point than there were at the $5,000 price point.
Yeah.
But there's a point at which you can't make something cost less without sacrificing the quality of the product for the farmer. So we always say, relevance and quality before affordability.
Relevance and quality before affordability. Okay.
So relevance in this case, let's say you're a farmer. Relevance is getting the right amount of water that you need from where it is.
Yeah.
So most farmers in Kenya have water between 20 and 50 meters. So it's pulling that water, enough water on a daily basis to satisfy your agricultural and domestic needs.
Okay.
So our water pumps pull water from 70 meters.
Got it. So you could do one for half the price, but it only does 20 meters, and it's not going to be relevant to them.
Yeah, for example.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's got to work.
It's got to work.
Yeah.
It's got to be high quality.
And even if it costs a bit more, we don't care. Not we don't care, but
We don't care, but we want to make sure it works and it's relevant, and we don't. There's a Strive Masiwa, this Zimbabwean entrepreneur. He was at the office a little bit ago, and he said something along the lines of, don't make condescending products. And that really stuck with me. Make products that people actually need and that they'll use. And it's not, I'm going to give you this product that's like, okay, just because you can't afford anything better. Make something better.
Yeah.
Figure out a way to finance it over time where the daily cost of ownership is affordable, but you extend the lifetime of the amount, or you extend the term in which they need to pay. There are ways to make really high quality products affordable for consumers that don't have too much disposable income. I fully believe that.
Yeah. Okay. So you sort of touched on a bit in terms of the financing, in that like there is this time gap before you can. So you have the initial outlay of like you have to produce and manufacture the system, and then you're getting the money back in piecemeal. So there's going to be this time period. You sort of mentioned a few times you've taken on some external capital.
Yeah.
Is that predominantly to fill that gap? Or is it, what are some of the main things that you've used your external capital for?
Everything.
Okay.
I believe that different types of capital are needed for different parts of the business at different times.
Okay.
Let me explain that. When we started the business, we raised grant capital to just operate the business. Now we raise grants for very specific pilots where we're the first mover.
Okay.
So same type of capital, grants, but not used to run the business, used for very specific parts of the business.
Yeah.
We raise equity to grow and operate the business. And now we raise debt to cover this period of time in which we need to order inventory before we get paid back.
Okay. Cool. Right. So you've got four. Those are the four And you got friends and family.
Yeah, friends and family paid back.
Okay.
Grant capital, equity, debt, and equity from different types of investors. So our earliest investors were these angel investors, so folks that really believed in what we were doing. They have operating experience. They came in to be a bit more hands-on and for the network. Then raised some money from some VCs. They have a bit more institutional experience, help us think a bit more about how do we professionalize what we're doing. And then last year we raised money from the French utility EDF, who have now come and helped us think about how do we think about operations at scale.
Okay. Do these investors want different things from SunCulture?
In terms of,
are certain investors feeling, I got into this because I want to see, let's say, a financial return? I know you can say ultimately, they're all going to converge, but some might say, I came into this because I really care about the impact that comes from this. Some might be saying, I did this because I care about the scale that you get. I don't really care about profitability right now. Others might be saying, no, we need to start making this a unit profitable business, and if we sort of boiled it down, I'd want to make sure that we sacrifice making money so that we can impact more farmers. Whereas other people might be saying, no, this is a profit-making business. We need to follow that way. Yeah, this is all conjecture in my head. I'm just wondering if any of those things happen.
Oh, that's a very valid question. We've been very careful about putting the group of investors that we have together. And we have a group of investors, so the angel investors, the VCs, and sort of the strategic institutional investor that all want to make money and make impact. And don't think you need to necessarily separate those, because to make impact at scale, you need to have a sustainable business. But we won't, and our investors won't, sacrifice making money or building a business that's profitable to necessarily reach more people, because we don't always think reaching more people or selling more widgets is the only way to look at impact. And when Charlie and I first met, it was because his best friend growing up was dating a good friend of mine from university. And I was hosting an event at NYU, where I was at school, to bring together entrepreneurs all over from New York City. He came to the event late, of course, and he ended up at that event meeting some guy who really influenced the way that we can describe impact. And we look at it as sort of, it's called the cube of value. So how many people can you impact, how deeply, over how much time?
Okay.
Number of people is just one dimension of that. And we look at how do we maximize the cube of value. So we don't necessarily look at impact in terms of reaching as many people as possible. We look at impact in terms of how do we increase the volume, right? Yeah. One way could be fewer people, deeper impact, quicker time. One could be more people, longer time, shallower impact. There's just a lot of ways to put that together. We just want to increase that area. And that changes with the available technology, with the regulations, with types of partners. And that changes just with the environment in which we operate. So we look at how do we increase that cube of value, but doing it by building a profitable business.
Okay. Have there ever been arguments, or argument might be a bit strong, disagreements between like direction the company should go in based on some of these things?
Not based off of impact,
yeah.
But certainly there certainly have been disagreements, and I think that's healthy in terms of direction, types of farmers we may need to serve, markets we want to enter, but that's good. It's healthy. Having a lot of different perspectives on the table is healthy. Where we draw the line is when people would ask us to serve a specific market without any reason other than we want you to serve a specific part of the market. So if someone says, we want you to sell a product at this price point to reach these people, we draw the line there.
Who'd say that?
Some investors have specific mandates around that.
Okay. Really? Like what? They'd have a mandate that we need to, there'd be an investor that's mandate is we need to sell cups at 5 shillings in this area. Or like we need to sell
when funds are created, they're created with specific mandates, and those mandates are then used to raise money from their investors. And when they invest in companies, they need to invest in companies that reach certain mandates. That was just an example, a very specific example of what a mandate could be. People's mandate could be, we need to reach this portion of the population, or X percent of our investments need to go towards this type of people, which is very okay.
Yeah.
For us, because we have a different view of impact, sort of this cube of value, we don't work with folks who say we have to serve these types of people at this price point, because impact is a little bit more robust than that.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And you said that some of the grant money you're taking at the moment is to do things that you're the first people doing.
Yeah.
That sounds quite cool.
It is quite cool.
How does that come out? Who leads who leads the discussion there? Are you kind of like, cool, we've got some fun stuff that we can do, now let's go out and find some grants? Or are the grant people like saying, we need someone to go out and do this, and you're like, oh, we can do that? Which normally leads the other?
Normally the first one.
Okay. So normally you're like,
we have something cool to do, let's find the right partner for it.
Okay.
Oftentimes donors will have these open calls for specific programs. But yeah, we won't raise grants to do stuff that we wouldn't already do ourselves. Yeah. And that's where you can get in trouble, because people, when money's in sort of available or in your face, some people can get into trouble by saying, I'll bring on this capital to do X, even if X wasn't part of my plan. So we first say, what is it that we want to do? And then what's the right type of capital for us to achieve that? And then we go and find partners to satisfy those capital requirements.
Have there been any interesting grants that you've won?
Oh yeah, many.
What are some of the ones you like?
I mean, we've run grants from a number of different organizations, and we wouldn't be here today without grants. And it's really interesting when you look at agriculture and energy in other markets around the world. Sectors are very heavily subsidized by governments, and the donors that come in to work with private sector companies like us are sort of filling the gap of how do you work with organizations that have a first mover disadvantage, where you're testing new ways to achieve what would be national priorities as well, but that the solutions haven't existed yet.
Yeah.
So we've raised money from a number of governments. Right now, we're actively working with Microsoft to develop a very cool software platform. We work very actively with the Shell Foundation. For all the donors we haven't listed, we really love you. Yeah. But it's a number of donors, right? And for different parts of the business. Like USAID came in really early when we were thinking of how to expand our business. The GSMA came and said, we were thinking about building a new product and looking at financing. They were the first ones to take a bet on that. And throughout our history, there have been a number of organizations that have taken bets with us on things that have never been solved before.
Like what?
Like, how do you become the first company to commercialize solar irrigation in Africa? How are you the only company to bundle these value-added services and financing with this technology? How do you pilot the first solar irrigation financing scheme in sub-Saharan Africa? How do you build a solar irrigation platform that's 10 times cheaper than what you started with? How do you build a software platform where you are, detecting agricultural risks earlier than anyone else on the continent? All of these bits and pieces that add to our business require capital to try. And there have been a number of donors who've come and said, look, we know you're the first one to try this. We believe in this. Let's try it. When it works, then you go and raise commercial capital. And we wouldn't be here today without all of the donors that have supported us on this journey.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So it's kind of like, so I hadn't really grasped that before. So it's basically like giving you the safe space to fail.
Yeah.
Is what I mean, a lot of the time that's what they mean.
Yeah, exactly. Try this out. We think that you're right. And we know that if you are right, you'll go and raise commercial capital to then build that into your business. But it's going to be really expensive for you to try it out with equity or debt. Because if you fail, then you're in a little bit of trouble. So let's give you the capital to satisfy our development needs, which is trying to see your business work because it's impacting a lot of people. And then once that works, then you can go and raise commercial capital for it.
Yeah, very cool. All right.
Yeah.
Before we came over and sat in the garden, you showed me the what do you call it? The root? No, the the sort of the living space that is representative of where.
Oh yeah,
with some of
like
these
a
services.
demo home.
Demo home, that's the one. One of them was the pressure cooker.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me a bit about that?
To make it clear on what we make, what we don't make, we only build sort of platform level technology.
Okay.
So in terms of the hardware, we built the control electronics for the energy management system, the battery, that can power different appliances. We don't make our own appliances because appliances exist and there are a lot of good appliances around the world. In terms of the software, we're building a software platform where we can plug in other people's data sources, but it's platform level stuff. Our energy management system can handle appliances that require 500 watts. So it's quite a large amount of power for folks living off-grid. So we can power a pressure cooker, an electric pressure cooker.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting. A lot of our customers spend hours per day gathering firewood and or charcoal to cook. The number one cause of non-communicable diseases in...
Non-communicable?
Like...
Actually, sorry, I'll just Google it now.
Non-communicable. So non-communicable diseases are diseases that are not able to be transmitted from one person to another.
So the number one non-communicable...
The number one cause of non-communicable diseases in Kenya, and I don't know if the status sub-Saharan Africa, I definitely know it's for Kenya, is cooking, like non-clean cooking.
Okay.
So firewood, charcoal in the house.
Yeah.
So pressure cookers are something that's quite interesting for our customers because they save time and it's much, much healthier for them.
Yeah. Good.
So we started piloting pressure cookers. We haven't commercialized it yet, but it's one of those appliances that we would be happy to have as an add-on after someone increases their income with the solar irrigation. And then how do we continue to make them more productive, either by saving their time, making them more healthy, etc.
So what's the big sell with a pressure cooker?
So let's say you live in rural Kenya, you spend a few hours a day cooking.
Yeah.
So if I could cut that time by 70%, then you have more time to do other stuff. Yeah. Plus, I'm making sure you don't breathe in all these nasty fumes. Your grandkids don't breathe in all these nasty fumes. Keeps you healthier.
Yeah, great stuff. Okay, and what were some of the other? What are some of the devices that we had in there? So there's a TV.
There's a TV. Yeah. So I'll even answer this question more broadly too. I'm going to ask myself the question: how do we choose appliances?
Gosh, mate, do you want to come take my question? This is great.
Wow! Kicking you out of business over here. We run focus groups with farmers. We've done focus groups with hundreds of farmers this year to help ourselves figure out what appliances farmers would want after they increase their incomes. TV's interesting, bundled with agriculture content to help people learn about farming. There's a lot of other potential appliances that are used for agricultural productivity and increasing productivity at a domestic level, so saving a lot of time, making people healthy. I can't share all of them just yet. In the house, we're showing egg incubators, which is very interesting for us as well.
Egg
incubators.
Egg as in chicken egg?
Chicken egg.
Okay, not ag.
Not egg.
Egg. Okay.
Egg.
Egg, yeah.
I'll have some more water so you can hear that more clearly. Egg incubator.
Yeah.
So people will hatch eggs in egg incubators and then sell day-old chicks. So there's a large market for people to buy chicks that are a day old, then grow them and then sell them or grow them for more eggs. But there's a big market for people to hatch chicks and then sell them. It's wild.
I was just thinking more in terms of like this device, this machine that is the egg incubator. Is that like quite a well-known thing? What I'm trying to get at, is there a sense of you don't know what you don't know when you do your focus groups?
Partly.
I'm wondering if you
so we show a lot of, when we do focus groups, we have a number of products we go and we use and we show pictures of and then see how people would rank them based off of another number of factors.
Okay.
So we have a very specific way of running focus groups to make sure we're making it feel as real as possible with the amount of money you have. How do you make money? If you use this, you make more money here. How would you invest it? To really get a sense of what people would actually invest in.
Yeah.
So sometimes, for an egg incubator, for example, if someone hadn't seen it, they understand what it's used for. They go, wow, that's really useful. I didn't know I could ask for that.
Yeah. So
we go with pictures and we describe it because sometimes it's hard to even ask for something you don't know is available.
Yeah. What have you found have been some of the important bits of information you share when doing this focus group that you might not have done the first time?
So one of the really important pieces is helping people understand how much money they can make from it and how much money they would be spending without it, which sounds really obvious, but it's just taking time to really put that in writing. Hey, you can make this much money, or having them figure it out themselves. So if you had this product, what would you do with it? How much money would you make from it? How much money would you be willing to invest in it? So just taking time and having them walk through their own process as opposed to telling them what they could use it for, right? It makes it more real, it makes it more personable. And also, it's just the right way to do things is to allow people to understand how they would use it for themselves as opposed to you telling them how they should use it.
Yeah.
You know, when we started the business, I told you the V1 was a big solar-powered water pumping system and drip irrigation altogether, the gold standard. We realized that trying to sell and force people to go for the gold standard right away is not the best way to do things, because it requires so much behavior change and so much investment. Instead, we change our approach to say, look, instead of going for the gold standard, why don't we start you off with a solar-powered water pump and a sprinkler or a hose pipe, which requires very little behavior change, and then upgrade you to drip irrigation, and then upgrade you to bigger drip irrigation, et cetera, over time. So getting you to the gold standard, but over multiple years, as opposed to saying you have to do this now. When we first started, we said you can only buy this package, and that was wrong. And we broke up the package and allowed people to mix and match based off of sizes, based off of what their needs are, what their comfort level is. And instead of trying to determine what is best for our customer, we show our customers the option, allow them to decide what's best, and then kind of graduate them. So we expanded the lens in which we look at our customers. Instead of a sort of a 1-year lens, we now have sort of a longer, like 20-year lens. So we go through the exercise of, what will our customers need over the next 20 years, and how do we serve them over the next 20 years?
Okay. So one thing I've always sort of wondered about smallholder farmers and sort of productivity, etc., is and you can obviously enlighten me a bit more on this, but if farmers
I'll be your guru on this.
Yeah, if farmers are getting more productive from their plot of land, is there a limit to productivity they could get? Whereas if they kind of combine together and kind of did more of a commercial farming thing, you might get the economies of scale, and that would make things even more productive.
How much time do you have? So it's if you look at countries like the US, where you had over half the population operated on farms or farmers, and now single digits, just a few % of people are farmers. One of the big reasons for that was farm aggregation. One of the reasons why people aggregated farms in the US 100 years ago plus was because in order to mechanize your farm, so to use machinery to do work that humans would take too long to do or would do ineffectively, you had to use really expensive machines. So you were not able to have a profitable small farm that was mechanized because the machines cost too much. Right now, we can mechanize 16th acre farms profitably. So there doesn't need to be aggregation as there were in other markets around the world, because we now have technology that can be that we can sell to really small farmers where we don't need to have big masses of land. So that's one thing we don't need to aggregate. Of course, you can achieve economies of scale when you aggregate, but you also have to look at the farmers that we talk to don't want to give up their land, because traditionally land is passed down to your children, and then to your children, and then to your children. And that is an asset that you own. And culturally, it's an honor to have that piece of land. Our customers tell us that they wouldn't want to aggregate because that's theirs. So there's also a cultural bit, and cultures differ across different regions in Kenya as well. But across the regions that we work in, which are most regions in Kenya, our customers say they wouldn't want to aggregate. This is their land, it's for their family, they want to use it that way. So my philosophy, my theory is that there won't be aggregation at a farm level, and we need to figure out how to make farmers profitable at an individual level.
Solid answer.
Done?
Yeah.
Good? Good.
Yeah, that's good. All right, I can sort of sleep easy at night now. That's good. All right. Supply side.
Yes.
So we spoke a lot about demand.
Yes.
Supply side.
Yes.
So you've got this platform.
Yeah.
And then you basically...
What a good buzzword, huh?
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it
how do you use the word
How
platform?
quickly was that on your pitch decks?
Not so quickly.
No?
Not so quickly.
Right.
We don't like using buzzwords for buzzword's sake. We're like very anti that.
How else do you, if you weren't allowed to call it a platform, what would you call it?
Which part of the business?
The bit where different manufacturers you get different products which can all go through the SunCulture system.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's a platform.
Yeah,
maybe that's the
no,
word.
it is definitely a platform.
It's like legit. Yeah.
It's definitely a platform.
Yeah.
But you hear people talk about X platform, Y platform.
Yeah.
And really all it is their way of doing things.
Have you ever described yourself not necessarily as the Uber for X, but have you ever described yourself as the something for something?
We haven't, but and those kind of analogies are useful in some ways, but also really detrimental in other ways.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to put us in a box because we touch so many sectors: water, energy, food, fintech, IoT. Again, more buzzwords, but all parts of what we do. And people like to put us in certain boxes. So it's hard for us to say we're the A for B.
Yeah.
One thing that we have thought about a lot, and it's how we did a rebranding, how we define our core values as a business. Part of how we define our core values has looked at how Apple has designed products for its customers, and how Apple has the purchasing trust of its customers, like me, and how Apple is reliable in terms of its servicing. You always find someone smart at the Genius Bar or on the phone who can help you solve your problems, but really putting the customer at the center of its product design strategy. We've talked about that internally. So we want to have the best products that can satisfy our customer needs, and that we have the purchasing trust of our customers because of the quality of the products and services that we offer.
Got it. Apple for smallholder farmers.
Sure.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And one day people will be saying...
I have my black turtleneck inside if you want me to go pull that out.
We'll do it for the photo afterwards. Right? And one day people will be the SunCulture for X.
I hope so.
Yeah, that'd be the
I hope so. I hope we are breaking a lot of the rules that people think that you have to follow, and I hope that we're showing that you don't have to do things the way other people do it. One of the hardest things to do when you start a business is to not emulate people, especially in markets where things haven't been figured out and where there are a lot of people to look up to. It's really important to understand that your business is different, you're different, your customers are different, and don't emulate. So hoping that we can break the...
Yeah. Ooh. Is that...
I don't know.
Oh, maybe it's a cat. We've got.
There's cat, and then there's dog.
So you've got. Oh wow.
Dog. A few dogs. Wow. There's monkeys around here as well. So I don't know what's going on.
So we're in a residential area.
We're in a residential area.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's nice. This used to be a daycare.
Oh, really?
So
it did look a bit colourful.
Yeah, if you see the playground in the front, you can use it as well. It was one of my mandatory requirements was to keep the playground here.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Part of the lease. Yeah. So we're talking about supply.
Yeah.
And I said I thought supply was your platform, but maybe it wasn't. Like what would you say is the supply? What's your when you think of the supply side of your business? Or do you not think about it?
No, we think about it a lot. It's something we're very good at. It's one of our core competencies. My co-founder and his R&D team can look at sort of China as like a Walmart. Knows where to find everything, knows how to test everything. We're very good at the supply side, very good at sourcing, very good at quality assurance, very good at quality control. Remember I told you we got on a one-way flight here when we left New York? We first stopped in China.
Okay.
So we have very good relationships with our contract manufacturers, with our suppliers, with our manufacturers as well.
Yeah. So they're making stuff for you?
So sometimes we buy off-the-shelf stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are making stuff for us. We make some of our own stuff. So we make our own, the control electronics, like that green board The PCB we make our own,
Yeah.
which allows us to power all these really high-powered appliances
Yeah.
from different parts of Asia, and then we do our own sort of assembly and we send it over here, and then we do our installation. We do the installation for our farmers on their farm.
Yeah. And this is done. Is that done by the sales agents?
Done by engineers. So we have sales agents, and then we have engineers across the country that do the installation and then the repairs and maintenance.
So do you have like little hubs?
We do. We call them sales and service centers, SSCs.
Sales and service centers.
Yeah.
Sales and service centers.
SSCs, yeah.
SSCs.
So you can say it 7 times.
SSCs. Okay. And your sales agents, they're kind of a locus around those.
So our sales and service centers actually trail our sales agents.
Yeah.
So they go in areas that we start to saturate. And then they stock spare parts. They're used for good branding, point of sale.
Yeah.
But if we don't have a sales and service center in an area that needs spare parts, we send them directly, and we have engineers and go and do all the repairs and installations.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who's your star salesperson?
We have 2 right now, Olivia and Margaret.
Okay. What makes them so good?
We had a town hall last week. We do a town hall every quarter, and we're sort of going over where we've come from. These 2 women together sold more units, together they sold more than half of what we sold in our whole first year. And they sold that in like Q2 this year.
Okay.
I haven't been able to dig into why they've been so good.
Do they work together, or are they
separate? They're independent. Yeah.
Are they different personalities?
So this was my first time meeting them in person.
Okay.
Different personalities for sure.
Yeah.
Both very confident, very competent. We find that sales agents that are sort of that understand this is just generic for everyone, but it's so true, is that if a sales agent understands the challenges that their customers go through, that they become really good sales agents, because it's not even a matter of selling someone, it's a matter of serving someone.
Yeah.
So I always tell people we're in the service industry. We exist to serve our customers. As you grow and as you have a bigger sales organization, it gets hard to often have that message go through to every new person that comes on, because they want to hit numbers and make commission. But the best sales agents that we have are ones that understand that they're here to serve our customers. And both Margaret and Olivia, when I met them last week, they both came off and they had the empathy to be able to understand what our customers went through, and were very humble about their work, and sort of didn't say this directly, but you kind of picked up that they were sort of, we're here to help our farmers. Like that's all we're doing is helping them out, which is really cool. Yeah. Which is, what you want to hear, it's my dream to hear that from everyone. Yeah.
What's your sales cycle? In time?
So different.
Is it?
So different.
Why is it different?
I mean, most people are quite quick. Yeah.
Quite quick, like?
Within the month.
Okay.
We have people calling after hearing about us for a year.
Yeah. How many visits will someone make?
So we need somewhere between 4 and 6 touch points. So it doesn't necessarily mean visits.
Yeah.
Could see us on Facebook, could see one of our agents, get a few SMSs. But we know that for us, you need just a number of touch points. As of now, that could change as we release new products.
Yeah.
So we also found that our sales cycle and the way we need to communicate needs to differ based off of region, based off of product we're selling. And there's, again, no silver bullet. You have to adapt to the needs of your customers. Some people in some regions want to see things in person. Some people are okay buying it from their neighbors. Referrals work better in some regions. Different marketing channels work better in other regions.
Yeah. Quite a complex operation.
Yeah.
With all these different, having to factor in all these different.
Yeah, but it's so interesting.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. And being able to filter all this into a system that works is super defensible too. Because if you systematize this and we've really strongly moved from an intuition-led business to a data-driven and analytics-led business. And doing that has allowed us to systematize a lot of the work that we do. So how do we systematize and put algorithms around digital marketing, or about where we open up a new market, or about our supply chain? How do we create a system that links our accounts with our after sales, with our dispatches? Now that there's a system in place, it's fascinating because it's so defensible then. So working in markets that industries don't exist for you to piggyback off of. So all these different pieces, it's challenging. But if you can figure it out, it's quite a defense. It's quite a moat.
Yeah, I can see that. What are the main hires you're looking to hire for next?
Only people that are front lines right now.
Okay.
So we have, I think, the best team. Call them the dream team.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the dream team.
Well, I saw those little sign said teamwork makes the dream work.
Teamwork makes the dream
so they're
work.
clearly listening.
Clear listening.
Yeah.
Our head of HR, Joanne, who's a superstar, she has this sweater that says Dream Team on it.
Yeah.
But we pay attention to who we hire, and we have an amazing team. That's just an amazing team. Now the only people we're hiring are customer-facing people, so sales agents, engineers, credit officers, relationship managers, people that have a direct interaction with a customer.
To what do you attribute the fact you've been able to assemble a dream team? Because what I'm thinking is, my hypothesis, it's like, it'll obviously partly be yourself, but the fact that you're doing quite a cool business that people can feel quite aligned to.
I'm actually going to pull something up with my phone. I'll answer that question. I'm going to ask myself another question as well.
Fantastic.
Because I think it's quite interesting.
It's a better question than I've asked.
No, it's not a better question. It's just something that I thought about what we... Let me pull this up. So I sent out one of my monthly emails. There have been...
Is this an internal email you sent?
Internal email.
Do they have a fun name like Samir's monthly email? Or is there anything like that?
I always put a nice... there's a subject for all of them with an emoji.
What was the emoji this time?
For June?
Yeah.
June was a target, the target emoji, because we were talking about targets.
Yeah.
May was a trident.
Trident.
That thing.
The thing that Zeus has.
Yes.
On top of Zeus's thing. What does the trident symbolize?
So the subject of this email was Gaishido, which stands for Get Shit Done.
Okay.
We work with an organization called Unreasonable.
Yeah.
And they have this Gaishido policy about how to get shit done. And I was reflecting in this email on sort of 3 key factors that have got us to where we are and that I see in all the most successful people on our team. One of them is the hustle.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of folks who are just super hungry, getting an MBA on the side of working, managing team from home, asking for mentorship, just the hustle. People who are really hungry for development. Resilience. So people who really believe that the craziness is going to work, that being resilient towards the naysayer, seeing the light where other people don't, that's been a huge factor. And then putting the company over self. So, putting the purpose of our work ahead of their personal beliefs or ahead of their personal benefits is something that's really, really key. The thing the reason I had the trident was because the one factor that our lowest performers lack is this Gaishido, so get shit done. So the trident was kind of like get shit done.
Okay.
Yeah. It was the closest thing. I didn't want to put a poop emoji.
Yeah.
This felt more getting done. So those are the factors that have contributed to the highly successful people in our organization. I think the reason we've been able to assemble the dream team is that we've just, from day one, Charlie and I have always put our customers first. We've always said that increasing the productivity and incomes of our customers has been the most important thing, and that we just embody it. We've always had that philosophy. We've always put our customer first. We've always been very clear that we will not sacrifice quality and relevance for affordability. We will figure out ways to make things affordable with operational or manufacturing efficiencies or financial innovation. We've just really kept true to our core beliefs, and I think that trust is consistency over time, right? So I think we've just built trust that we are consistently living our core values. And I think people like that. And people trust that no matter what, when shit hits the fan one day or when things get really tough, that we're going to live our core values and we're not going to sacrifice what our purpose is as an organization for anything. And I think that's how we've been able to attract the dream team. The dream team. And people who believe that and embody that have been our most successful folks in the dream team.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So let's do a few more questions.
Yeah.
So I realise, Samir, we're already on the longest interview I've ever done.
Woo!
So yeah,
I don't know if that's a thing to celebrate or not, but I'll celebrate it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So 6 months in the next sort of 6 months to 3 years.
Yeah.
What does SunCulture look?
6 months to 3 years.
Okay, well
come on, man.
Pick one or two. Which one's the more interesting answer?
I'll do both.
Okay.
But I'll do both separate.
Separate answers, yeah.
Because they'll look different. So 6 months. We're raising a round of funding right now.
What type of funding?
Equity.
Okay, so this is people saying we're going to take a percentage of SunCulture.
Yeah.
In the
for capital. With the belief that we'll get paid back a lot more.
Yeah.
In time.
Mm-hmm. How much are you promising them? Not promising them.
We're not.
Yeah.
We're not, but good.
Okay, so you're saying this is
we don't share. We won't. So I won't share how much we're raising or what we promised them right now. So just in case you have any more questions on that.
Yeah, sorry, but it's like this is people who are. They obviously will care about the impact.
Yes.
But they are also
commercially minded impact investors.
Okay.
Who have a vision that matches our vision.
Yeah.
So to scale this business across multiple markets, to affect as many people as possible, to grow what we think could be the most meaningful sort of agriculture business on the continent. Mm-hmm. And then at some stage go to different continents.
Yeah.
So we're raising that. So in the next 6 months, get that closed. Mm-hmm. The next 6 months looks very much like it does right now, just more like the machine's running in more areas in Kenya. Mm-hmm. So just more sales agents, more people that are customer facing. Yeah. So just where we'll grow in terms of people are feet in the street, foot soldiers. Yeah. Serving our customers. So that'll grow quite a bit. Mm-hmm. We're distributing in a few markets, so we'll distribute in a few more markets. And it's just growing our current operations. So nothing totally new, just kind of growing current operations. Mm-hmm. In 3 years' time, we might be operating in 1 or 2 new markets. So not only growing what we're currently doing, but replicating what we're doing in more markets. We're working on some really good software stuff, some really cool software stuff. Mm-hmm. Where we'll be able to highlight risks that farmers face that are not in their control much more visibly in real time, which means that, we can help course correct for farmers. So give hyper-local recommendations on pest mitigation, how much fertilizer to use, irrigation recommendations. So we always talk about bringing the best in class precision agriculture to smallholder farmers, which we're doing. This is just a huge extension on that on the software side. So in 3 years, really, really commercializing that software piece to then crowd in more capital, more insurance companies, more input companies, more product companies to serve farmers. Yeah. So building the most robust fintech platform and marketplace for smallholder farmers because we have all of this information.
Yeah, and you've built the trust with the farmer.
And we built trust with the farmer.
And
we've built trust with the market as well.
Yeah.
I think the reason why people don't invest in smallholder farmers is because they don't understand the risks that smallholder farmers have. If the risks are visible, then insurance companies can price the risk with a premium, and then banks will insure and put an interest rate on it, which is pricing a risk as well. So if we can help make the risks visible and then help give farmers advice that helps them make better decisions on how to mitigate against those risks, then they have access to more capital, which will allow them to then go buy more products and services. Yeah. But again, solar irrigation isn't a silver bullet. They want stuff. It needs stuff like pressure cookers, TVs, more machinery, more inputs. But we can help serve as a platform to, again, increase and protect the productivity of smallholder farmers and help them mitigate risks not in their control, and then highlight how we're doing that so people are comfortable selling to those customers.
Sounds very cool.
Okay. Yeah, thanks.
I think so. Yeah. 10 years?
I don't know if I'm going to be the right person to run this in 10 years.
Okay. Why
I don't know.
Why wouldn't you be?
I don't know. I might be. I very well might be. But different size businesses need different personalities. I always tell the team, what gets us from 0 to 1 won't get us from 1 to 100, which is the same, won't get us from 100 to 1,000. That means people, that means systems, that means processes, and maybe I can develop, or maybe I have the skill set to manage the company where it'll be in 10 years, which will be on multiple continents. But maybe I won't be. Yeah. And maybe I'll be doing the next cool thing. Who knows?
Who knows?
But SunCulture will survive that.
Yeah.
I'm building SunCulture to survive well beyond me. And that's I keep telling everyone as well, keep figuring out how to fire yourself out of a job.
Yeah.
So if you can fire yourself out of a job, it means we're growing. So I continually try to fire myself out of a job.
What did you fire yourself on? Most recently?
Operations, Kenya operations. Our COO now runs Kenya operations, and we're hiring a Kenya GM to take over his role. So he's fired himself out of a job. And now that gives us space to think about how can we best be used to help SunCulture grow. So it's a good thing to fire yourself out of a job because it gives you space to think about what's next.
Yeah.
In 10 years, maybe the job I fired myself out of and where I need to go, maybe that doesn't fit. Maybe we need to bring in someone external. But SunCulture will survive well beyond me.
Very cool.
And I might be the right person, and I'll be here, and we'll be doing this podcast interview again.
Sounds great.
But yeah, check back in 10 years.
Very good. And people who are listening, how can they learn more about SunCulture in various different ways?
So you can listen to this podcast, which you already have, well in. If you want to see how we interact with farmers and how farmers think and how farmers feel, check out our Facebook.
Is that just SunCulture?
It's SunCulture Kenya.
SunCulture Kenya.
Our website is my least favorite thing right now. Maybe when you publish this, it'll be better.
Yeah.
We'll see. So if you go to our website and it's like, then just wait a little bit. You can find more information there. Type in SunCulture in whatever search platform you use. Lots of articles, lots of videos.
Yeah.
If you want to join us in our mission, you can reach out to me directly, Samir, SAMIR, at sunculture.com. We're always looking for really talented people to either work with or collaborate with now or in the future. So if anyone wants to join our mission and join our work, please reach out directly. If anyone has any questions on how to do this, how to start a business in East Africa, West Africa as well, reach out as well. We're always trying to crowd in more really smart, driven people because it's going to take more than SunCulture to solve all the problems we're trying to solve. We think we're an important piece, but again, we're not a silver bullet either. There needs to be way more companies that are started that work together to solve all of these problems. And we look at some of the challenges that we're solving for smallholder farmers, and we're just one of many solutions that are needed to improve the livelihoods of these folks. So join us. We welcome you. I'm happy to help in any way that I can.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, Samir, thanks so much.
Thanks, man. This was fun.
As mentioned, the music you're hearing in the background is the Ohio indie band SunCulture. Thank you very much to them for letting us sample their track. If you're interested in learning more about the East Africa Business Podcast, please head to www.theeastafricabusinesspodcast.com and subscribe via whatever channel suits you best, such as Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or email. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, it would be great if you could leave a rating and review on whatever podcast platform you're listening through. Thanks again.